Hello, welcome to Decoding Phase Transitions, the DPT podcast. Here we unravel the career phases of individuals with PhD degrees who have navigated the complex worlds of academia and beyond. Join us as we decode the decisions and strategies that shape their unique trajectory from their earliest career aspirations to their current influential role. We'll explore their daily practices, their hacks, and the profound impact of the role models on their career paths. And today, we have a fascinating journey to unpack. Today's guest is Professor Na Zhao. She is an economist. Currently, she is an assistant professor in the University of Bath's School of Management in England in the Division of Strategy and Organization. Born and raised in China, Professor Zhao began her academic adventure with dual bachelor's degree in economics and law. She then crossed continents to pursue her master's degree at Lund University in Sweden. She had then continued to earn her PhD degree from Goethe University Frankfurt in Germany. Her current research is at the cutting edge of entrepreneurship, innovation, social networks, and corporate strategy. We'll be exploring the decisions and strategies that have shaped her remarkable journey from her studies across the continents to her current influential role. For this episode, part 1 of our conversation, we'll explore her journey up to and including the master's degree. In part 2, we'll dive into the PhD experience and beyond. So get ready for amazing insights. And without further ado, let's dive into the conversation with Professor Na Zhao. Welcome now to my podcast. Thank you for agreeing to do this. So I gave a little bit introduction, and I'd like to start with this question that your background is economics.
Yes.
And when did you decide that you will go for economics? And how did you choose this subject? And when did you fall in love with it?
Right. And first of all, thank you very much for having me in this podcast. And when I received this invitation, I was actually super excited. And I also want to use this opportunity to reflect on the trajectory that which brought me so far. I think that in terms of choosing the subject economics, that the moment that I think that I'm really interested in this was actually in 2012/2013, which was when I was still in my master's program. It's funny because even in my bachelor, I actually studied economics. But why I studied economics was completely not really a very rational choice, such that I weigh between law or accounting or marketing or anything else, and then decide to go for economics. When we were in high school and then have to choose the subject, we basically have very little information. It was also unclear to me why economics. I was very much in the mindset of studying as such, without really having super strong intrinsic motivation on why I want to understand this phenomenon.
Okay.
It was more like following the old pattern of middle school, high school, now university. This is what I chose and I have to study. But really, why I started to like this subject was from the courses and seminars that I chose during my master's degree at Lund University. And then I studied international economics there. And one part of this program is specifically targeted in China.
Okay.
And I was thinking, yeah, I know everything. I am native, and I know I grew up with the economic rise. I understand incentives and so on and so forth. But until then, I realized there's so much stuff that I don't know
About your own place,
yes, about
country.
About my own country, about how private enterprise becomes so well developed, or let's say what would be the challenge for them, and how entrepreneurs try to break the existing frame and to be more innovative and so on. So that was the moment I think, wow, there's so much going on in this subject, and I really want to dive into more deeper. I think that before that, I was very much in a very fixed student mind that, okay, for this course, what is my objective? I want to get high marks. And how could I get high marks? I have to study. So it's not really, it's more like robotic, but
I see.
intrinsic motivation comes later.
Very interesting. You touched upon very important point that traveling to places, traveling to different country, mixing with other cultures and different people from different background opens up our mind, and it gives you a lens through which we see the world, and which might be totally different which we had been brought up with. It might be, as you said, during masters you rediscovered a lot of things about your own country. You connected the dots, and you might have analyzed things from different light or different direction. So this is a perfect segue to go to your childhood, which you had spent in China. And how was your childhood? What was the schooling system? And in the process, if you can tell, you said you chose economics by not falling in love with it before, but you still chose it. Were there mentors or some successful people who has chosen that path before you, your senior students in your school, or something that had led to that point?
Yeah. And so I, regarding like my childhood and family background, so first of all, like both my parents, they are entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So, but they are dentists, in a way that you should not think of as a very high qualified dentist with, I don't know, doctor degree and so on. You should think them as a barefoot doctors, dentist. They basically trained as a, I don't know, folk wisdom, whatever, from my great grandmother.
Okay.
And
so it runs in your family, you say?
Sorry?
Does it run in your family?
Yes.
This knowledge?
Yes, this knowledge run in my family. My great grandmother, I don't know where she learns. It's a bit strange that she, as a woman who also binded her feet back then as a woman, so her mobility is very limited.
I see.
And I don't know where she learned this. I never asked, but I only know that my father learned from his grandmother. So they are entrepreneurs, but then, which also gives them a bit more leeway that they are not so much tied to the existing system in China in relation to one-child policy, for example.
Okay.
Because I grew up, I have 3 sisters. This is quite unusual in my cohort. And the reason why they could do so is, first of all, they have very strong son preference. And they want to have a boy, which they tried and failed. Or
obvious by now.
Yeah, all 4 times. And second, and there is no punishment as such that could stop them from conceiving more kids, because both of them are not part of the state-owned enterprises, public institutions, so they cannot really say, oh, you lose your job and you have more children. In the end, so they were able to have more kids, although we were quite a bit, it's not one, like, my sisters grew up with my grandparents because they were busy and to take care of all the kids. I was the only person who really grew up with my parents.
Did your grandparents from nearby village or cities? Or?
Yeah, we are very close. I think my grandmother at my parents' side always live us, I don't know, within 100-meter away, which is quite convenient. And the grandparents on my mother's side is like across the river. So let's say walking distance will be 20 minutes. It's always a very small country, like the small county setting.
I see.
Yeah.
So you could meet your sisters on regular basis, maybe every day, but you were not sleeping under the same roof.
No, we were not sleeping under the same roof. There is also, I don't know whether generation gap was so much a thing back then when we were kids, because my age distance is 6 years. I'm 6 years younger than my oldest sister. Obviously, from her viewpoint, I am not the cool one. And we have a schooling system like 5 years of primary school, 3 years of middle school, 3 years of high school. So in total, the schooling time will be 11 years. And then upon completing the high school, people who are qualified can go to the university, which makes difficult for us to really meet. When
Yes.
I enter primary school, she's gone.
Mhm.
And when I enter middle school, she went to university already.
Uh-huh.
So for her, that hangout with us is like, she has closer relation with my second sister, and me and third sister, we have a closer because of the age gap.
I see.
So this is the case.
I would like to go back to the one-child policy of
Yes.
China, because this is what we grew up knowing,
Mhm.
that people are not allowed
Yeah.
to have more than one and maybe maximum two children
Mhm.
back in the time.
Mhm.
And all my friends, like not all, in at least in 3 cases, my Chinese friends, they are 3 siblings or
Mhm.
more than 3.
Mhm.
So I think my listeners would like to know also that this is not true what we grew up with. This is not a fact. And you are saying that the rule applies to the people who are having government jobs.
Yes.
Is it correct?
Because the threat is very credible. So if one party, even the grandparents, so both my grandparents, so 4 grandparents, none of them work for any public institution, any government. But if there's anybody who is in the
Okay.
system, then the threat will be much more credible, because they can also enforce you through, for example, your parents or your nephew, whoever, relative. But we sort of like really have very low profile, modest background. Nobody could really take it, like the threat.
So your all of your siblings went to schooling, and did it have any influence on your decision to go to university, or did your parents, how did they shape your thinking in pursuing in studying or career in academics?
I think that my parents always want us to get good education. Especially my father, because he was not able to do so. He was forced to drop out of high school because he was the oldest one, and he still have sisters and brothers to take care of, and only relying on my grandfather to make a living for a family of, I don't know, 7 people is difficult. So in the end, he has to drop out and go for work when he was, I don't know, 16, 17. And he always wants to, if he would have a chance, then he think he's smart, and he would have the chance to go to university. And that's why this is sort of one of his, because he didn't have this opportunity, so he want to provide us the opportunity. If we can, then he would be all in support. But if by chance or whatever reason we are not interested in, he also could not really force us. But at least he wants to do his part. He's ready. Anybody, any one of the kids, we are 4, right? Any of you can go as far as possible. And don't worry about there might be financial constraint. You might not have support from the family. No. You have full support. You just need to go for it. And this is something that they always tell us. And the second, funny, they always tell us never start your business. It's too much work. Also, probably because the period when they start their own business, everything is not really so well regulated. You sort of have to find your own way of, do I need to get to know people, of somebody work in government, this bureau, that bureau, so that I can get this and that paperwork. Also, there is no social security as such. You basically have to save up to your own retirement. And then they feel that, no, if at all, they would really prefer a stable job. So they always tell us never become dentist, which now, by the way, they are a bit regret, because they see now dentist is, the profession itself become more prestige, and people can make more money. And he thinks that maybe it was wrong idea to tell us that never become dentist. It's too much work, and people bargaining, and you don't have a stable income. So that was a major concern. Better for security and get well educated and go for a stable job.
Interesting. You were provided with that environment where you were encouraged to study and
Yeah.
have a career of your own to a more established route.
Yes.
How did your siblings choose their career?
I think that my oldest sister, she was the best student in our primary school, and all our teacher knows. And then she also went to she was always very good from the middle school, high school, but then she just did bad in the exam. So for the national entrance exam, she chose the natural science track, which was very good, but then somehow she couldn't, either due to whatever reason, idiosyncratic, because it's only this one exam that matters.
True.
And she didn't want to repeat. I said, no, I'm not going to repeat. Given this is the outcome, I will just, within the range of my choice, I will just go for the best option she can. So she went to a normal school, like which is supposed to become a teacher in this normal school. And she studied English as the major and French as a second subject. The great thing is, when she was in the university, we were still in the middle school, high school. Every summer, every winter break, she comes back and she was our tutor.
Wow.
She taught us, no, your pronunciation sucks. You have to do this way. And she sort of forced us, whoever is interested in can join her free class. And then she...
In the neighborhood?
No, only within the family members.
I see.
And extended families like my cousin,
Sure.
and whoever.
Sure.
But for people who are not interested in, she also would not force. I always feel language is good, and I also want to know more. I think, why not? It's a great opportunity that she speaks so well, and I am so jealous or amazed, and I think that I should be also learning. Why not take this opportunity?
Yeah. So you took your big sister's tutoring class?
Yes.
And I hope she will be listening to this podcast. She'll be proud.
Yeah, I will. I will forward to her. Right. And she became a teacher. So afterwards, she really became a teacher. But I think that deeply in her heart, she also felt that she has this responsibility to also take care of the whole family, given that in a way that we don't know anybody, we are always subject to the regulation of whatever bureau. He thought that he should be at least 1 foot sit in within this system. And that's why she chose to quit the teacher job and to become a civil servant.
Wow.
And she's now a civil servant.
I see.
But although in the police force. But she's not really doing anything, let's say, criminal, against criminal and so on, but more like bureau job. And still she felt that by working again within our county and getting to know more people, she could at least help the rest of the family to navigate. She was the first person from my whole family, both mother family side and father family side, the first person to be employed as a civil servant.
Very nice.
But I'm not so sure whether this is really something that she would have liked to.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're saying this, because I think it's true also in Indian subcontinent. I think the Asian culture as a whole, if you talk about the continent, this was at least true for some period in each country, that the eldest were bearing the burden of the whole family, and they felt different responsibilities towards their family, either to lessen the burden of the father or whoever was the bread earner at that time. And this picture is very common. When you say that, I can see my family in front of me also. People who had dedicated their choices in about their career, about many things, to choose family first before their own choices. And so was your father happy with the first.
I think he was very proud.
Mm-hmm.
She's the first person she has many firsts. She's the first person to be the first one, like to rank the highest within her cohort. As a best student, she was the first person in my family to get a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first person to be civil servant. But then she's not a man. This is something that I find very unfortunate, that I could not change my father's idea of this obsession that would have been even better if it's a boy. I completely disagree with this, but I just could not really change this. Yeah, he's super proud of her, although his way of expression is not so expressive. But at the end of the day, that he felt that she is very important in becoming a role model for us to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And second, that he felt very secured when she's around.
Mm-hmm.
That now, like anybody, whatever relative has whatever issue, then people would just call her, and she would try to navigate and sort things out. I think that this is something that my father probably didn't even thought about or imagine when he was younger. But yeah,
very nice. So other siblings are also choosing academia, or some of them are entrepreneurs.
My second sister recently became an entrepreneur, but I think she now failed. So
it's okay to fail.
Yeah,
it's totally okay to fail.
Absolutely. And I think she's really the free spirit in our family. I don't know that she has this internal character. She's super determined. If she wants to do something, then she would really achieve. This type of perseverance is really something that I learned from her. And you know that when she was a teenager, like in the final years of her high school, she was super upset because she thinks she was fat, which is not true. She was not fat, but she thought that she was fat and she wants to be slim and pretty. Then she bought this whatever medicine and pills which can reduce her appetite and so on. And I think at the end of the day, she became really slim, but I think her health condition was also deteriorated. There was lots of struggle, like it's a final year, very stressful, and my parents think that she's crazy. She was crazy trying to think about the beauty instead of focusing on the study. Obviously, in the end, she didn't do well in the national entrance exam. She went to sort of vocational training school, which was a disappointment from both from herself and also my parents. But even from this very low, you should imagine that there are, let's say, 3 tiers of university. Broadly speaking, there's tier 1, which is you need to have a highest mark in that subject, and there's medium, like tier 2, which is okay and not too posh, but also not really bad. So this would be, let's say, the minimum bar that my parents would require us. And there's then the lower one is like, it's also only 3 years in comparison to a 4 years university. But just with this very low profile, bad college, she started to work her way out. But you can still study further and do another exam so that you can transition yourself, switch from this vocational training school to proper university. And she did that.
Wow.
And she did that, spent lots of effort. She studies Japanese, lots of effort. And then she managed to get to a very good, at least within our province, very good normal school, because the language, right? And there she thought that, I studied Japanese. It would be a shame if I never been to Japan. Why not try out other possibilities? Then she, while being a bit older than her cohort, because she has to do this transition, right? So now when she landed in this better university, she was a bit like 1 or 2 years older than her cohort. Nevertheless, she wants to compete for the program, which you can get a degree 2 years here, 2 years there. And then she told my parents, look, I am going to do this, and you have to prepare. if I am successful, I would need this money, that guarantee that I could support myself, whatever, but not herself, but then my parents have to support. And my father was like, no, it's for real. And I have to provide so much financial paperwork and so on and so forth. But everything was fine. And she worked really super hard on this. She got the offer and managed to get into this program, which in the end, she get 2 bachelor's degree. One is from the Better University, and then the other is from the Japanese University.
Wow.
It's really
Such
big,
an inspiring story.
Yeah, she's really like, I think that her way of see things, and as long as she has the target, the goal, she, no matter what, she will achieve. Just like she wants to lose weight, she does it. She wants to get out of this poor college, she does it. She wants to go to Japan, she does it. And after that, after finish the bachelor, she wants to apply for business school in Japan, and she did it. So she got marketing. I think she studied marketing in a Japanese business school. And while she was in Japan, I think that me and my mother, we sent her off to Shanghai to take the plane so that she could leave. She left alone with, I don't know, 1 or 2 other students. They connected online. Okay, we are same cohort, we go together. But the way how she navigate her situation in Japan is also, in my view, very difficult, because of course my parents, because of the agreement between 2 universities, the tuition is low. Nevertheless, you still need to support your own living cost. My parents provided, I'm not so sure for how long, I guess maybe even less than 1 year. And she said, that's enough for me. I'm going to do my job. Then she had 3 part-time jobs along with her study in, I think, in one restaurant, and the other one, I don't know, youth hostel, and another one in whatever translation gig work that she could do. Then she's juggling between these 3 part-time jobs while finishing her study. It's really amazing. And she's the pivotal moment when I was in third year of my bachelor. She was in Japan. I was thinking about what should I do, because the final year would be people start to find a job, or you need to prepare for applying for master degree and so on. And I was just talking to her that, look, I'm not so sure that what would be the path. And she just said, why don't you try to just look out? Like, you don't need to be bound within China. You can go elsewhere and think about other places, English-speaking country. Obviously not Japan, because I don't speak Japanese, but English-speaking countries, or maybe not even English-speaking countries. Perhaps jumping out of the frame would be helpful. So I think, okay, that I didn't think about it. I didn't think about that. But when she tell me this, and yeah, that's right. You are outside too. Maybe I should also look around.
Wow.
Well,
So she acted as a mentor at that point, which was a
Yes.
pivotal,
super pivotal.
point in your life too.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I was listening to you, and I was thinking that such an environment and such successful siblings around, it might be on one hand difficult to live up to the expectation, but on the other hand, it's also so much of help to open up, to give you some suggestion, or to open up your possibilities, and to give you a path forward.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think she is the person who really she had my back in a way that I support you. Because at that point, my parents was also a little bit, if you go, let me think about our financial account.
Yeah.
Although they say that, but then they also have this consideration, right? That's a lot of stress for the parents. And then she said, you go, and I am doing well. I have lots of savings. I can support you in the worst scenario.
Wow.
So that really gives me lots of confidence.
And by then you are already studying economics,
Yes,
right?
yes, I study.
And this is your last years to go before masters, some years.
Right, like 1.5 years
I see.
left. But the final year, very often, half a year people are trying to find a job, and half a year find the job slash preparing for the exam for the postgraduate applications, and then half year you write your dissertation. So basically, coursework would be finished by the end of the third year. And at the point when I think about this, it was still in the second semester of the third year.
I see. We'll go back a little bit to know which school you went to and how did you again choose economics. Is it totally random, like
Yeah.
or did your siblings by then also helped you to see the perspective or opportunities opening up by choosing economics?
Yeah, so I was in this number one high school, sorry, and I chose social science track, and my sisters, two of them, the first and second, they both chose natural science track, which they need to study chemistry, biology, and physics,
and mathematics also.
And mathematics. So Chinese, mathematics, and English, these are fixed. So for everybody, it's a ground course. And then for the social science track, then I study, in addition to these three, I study history, geography, and political science.
Okay.
And whereas my sisters, and then they study the
Natural
STEM.
sciences.
Yeah. So it's, and in terms of the subject that we can choose from as a freshly graduated high school student to university, it's very limited if you choose social science track. That basically determines already like where in principle that you will go. So for example, everybody has this book which documents for every university which program that they would offer conditional on your track. So you can see for natural science, most of the university you have many more options. So they can choose either continue with natural science or they can also venture out to humanities, social sciences. But this is not the other way around. I could not choose to study chemistry or physics if I am in the social science track. This already way closed. Obviously, they would say, oh, you don't even have a basic understanding.
I see. The concepts are too difficult to grasp at this point, perhaps. Yeah, this is general consideration in every country, I guess, right? I am not sure this is true because it totally depends on student to student how would they adapt. As you said, like some students are like that, like your second sister who puts their mind into something, they do it. So it's not necessarily a good system, but this is the way academic, at least educational infrastructure works.
Exactly. Which means that what is left, what would be the option on the table would be business related fields such as economics, finance, marketing, accounting. So these are business related fields, or humanity, history, literature, philosophy, or language. Different kinds of language. English, French would be more common. Spanish, German would be called, and Japanese would be called small languages. Although they are not small, let's say in terms of population, the option on the table is very limited. And plus, we are not allowed to choose medical schools because this is just not a viable option. Among these, I had discussion with my parents. We were thinking that what to choose. And for me, humanities, no. I am not interested in that, although I like literature, but I don't think that, let's say, in terms of practical implication, this is not something helpful. It's very pragmatic. What field can have a higher chance that after the school, after the education program, you will be able to find a job? These would be practical fields, for example, accounting, would be economics and marketing, so these business related, or law. Of course, you have to go through the qualification and so on. And I thought law is a bit boring. Let me go for these business-related fields. But then the question is that they are also very much specialized, right? Or not really specialized, but they are different tracks. And I just choose economics because this is the foundation. So for any, in a way, marketing, accounting, finance, they all need this ground knowledge. And okay, I go for this, but then the most foundational ones, and who knows, we will see. Maybe I will have other more specific specialization. So this was the concern.
If I understand you correctly, you were also the first one in your family to go clear the national entrance exam.
Everybody has to go through this national entrance exam. I don't really know where they stand in terms of their rank. I only know my own score.
Okay.
Everybody has to go. So every cohort, this is one exam that determines if you don't want to try anymore, because once per year, right? You can try next year, but then the pressure is exponential too. And everybody has to take the exam.
Okay.
Of course, the variation is that we always get the most difficult exams. There are these regional variations. Like some areas are easier and some areas are more difficult.
So can you tell us, I didn't ask it before, which region you grew up and where it stands in terms of this exam in level of difficulty?
Right, and I grew up in Jiangxi province. This is north of Guangdong, which is close to Hong Kong, and west of Fujian, which is close to Taiwan. And this province, we basically more agricultural. There's barely any industry except for few metal companies because of the natural resources. Otherwise, it's just rice fields. So not really well developed in terms of infrastructure and also economic wise. We always get the toughest exam.
No industry, but the toughest exam.
Yeah.
How does it relate?
I don't know. It's because for some provinces, for example, Shanghai, this is mega city, right? Or Beijing, they have their own rules. They set their own rules that we will have our own local exam. And in some areas, for example, Zhejiang or Jiangsu, these are the provinces just adjacent to Shanghai. One is north, one is south. And they also have their own thing. But we are like, no, we always get the tough one.
I see.
And also because we have many more students, which means that the competition within our cohort is much tougher.
I see.
And it's always more difficult if you would like to go to a university out of your province, because each university sort of, I don't know how they really regulate the quota. For example, some university, they only hire 2 students from my province. So if you want to apply for that, either you are very, very good, that you are very confident that you will get there, or you say, okay, I just want to go to this university. Maybe I don't get into this particular program, but I would also accept that I might move to history or something like.
I see.
Something like
I
this.
See.
So some of the universities, they really recruit very few students from our province, and then the competition is very high.
Yeah, I understand now. You were studying economics. This is bachelor's level in the university because you cleared the national entrance exam. And then you had this second sister of yours. She helped you to look forward and give you options to go outside China, promised that she had your back financially also. How did you decide to go forward from that point?
I basically started to evaluate what would be my option on the table. So option 1, I just go directly to the labor market so I can work. Option 2, I go for postgraduate study in China. Option 3, I go for a master program elsewhere. And now is that because I got my GPA is very high within my cohort, I get the chance to enter a very good university for free and for 3 years.
So you had the highest GPA in your cohort?
Yes, I had the highest GPA in my cohort that I could be guaranteed to send to another university, which other people think that would be a very good opportunity. But at that point, I feel that I'm not so sure. For 3 years, similar environment, I didn't believe that let's say the scholarly environment would be so different from my university to the other better university, right, outside our province. And if at all, it would be only marginally improved. There would be no radical improvement. My parents might be happy because then they don't need to sponsor me anything, and I got the scholarship. And this is one option that in the end, I gave up. This was the most clear to me. No, I don't want this, and I gave up. The funny thing is that this chance then went to the second person ranked in the GPA.
I see.
She also gave up. She also wants to go abroad, and then the chance for the third person, who was very happily took the opportunity.
As life teaches you, you do not have to be the best to fulfill your wish.
So that was a funny anecdote. And then the option is either I go to the labor market, or I go abroad. So I prepare. On the one hand, I finished this IELTS English exam, which then my first sister was my perfect language partner. So she already started to work back then, and in the evenings, then she would be sort of the examiner, no? Ask me different questions to improve my oral language and try to also check my application. So writing applications to the university, and also for preparing this IELTS exam. I guess I was also very frugal, that I don't want to spend extra money for this additional tutor or a contract out to, I don't know, intermediary service company who can prepare application package and so on. I think that this is all about information. I can gather information myself, thank you. Then I can prepare the letter, write my motivation, ask my sister, can you please check whether error, and so on and so forth.
Let me ask you, by this point you were confident enough to go out by yourself in a different country and speak
the language?
Speak the language, or did you choose only English language because you were trained? So how did you choose countries back then for your application?
I chose also to a large extent of financial concern. I crossed out US, very expensive, and I was not sure whether I would get scholarship. My concern is that in the very worst scenario, I don't have scholarship, I need my parents' support, how much would that be a burden? So I think, okay, in the US, you need 2 to 3 years. Oh, the tuition fee is big. I'm not sure if I could get scholarship because the university is decent, but not as great. So people outside of China will wonder, what is this university? So there will be this natural statistical discrimination, right? Although you are the best in your cohort, who knows? We don't know this place, and so we don't trust it. And that was my weak point. Then I crossed out US, and then I looked into, I was never interested in Australia and Canada, so these places were also crossed out. Then I thought about, okay, in Europe or in Hong Kong. Singapore, I also thought about that. Hong Kong, Singapore, I feel that if I already made effort to go out, why not go further away? Because there are also lots of Chinese descendants or Chinese students. I was thinking that, does it make so much difference? Maybe it would not make too much difference. So I crossed that out. Then I crossed out UK because it's 1 year program, super expensive. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not so sure how much that I would get out of the UK program, given that it's so costly and so short. I don't know. So I had a reservation. And then I didn't know in Germany it's for free. I didn't know about this. I was just thinking that Germany was not really attractive to me, probably because of either the language or something else. Then I was thinking about Nordic countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, these places. And unfortunately, just one in my year that I applied, they begin to charge tuition. Before they were for free, so that they were, in my best scenario, free. I thought that I only need to cover my living costs. But then when exactly on the year when I entered, they started to raise the bar, probably also because more international students coming in and they want to make some revenue.
I see. In that whole, you made a very strategic plan and crossed out depending on your financial situation and constraints. But what about the language?
The language, yeah. And the thing is, I know in Nordic country, people speak very good English. So it was not really a concern that
you knew the courses were offered in English.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Because this is, as you mentioned, Germany. In Germany, a lot of the master's course are also still offered in German language. You can choose some of them in English, but it's not guaranteed. So this is also another thing to think about for the listeners who are listening to your story and thinking, okay, Germany is free. But also this is another fact that most of the higher educations, partly it's in German and partly maybe you can choose English.
I think like 10 years ago probably it's very much German dominated, and gradually they started to change. But back then I know that I am only searching for program that taught only English. So this was the constellation, somehow the narrow the path down to Nordic countries, which I think nice. And also I think that the Nordic country has its charm in a way, or reputation, that high living standard, society already developed in a very advanced stage, gender equality, social inequality is low, and I want to experience this. And then which led me to apply for universities in Sweden, and I got it. So I was thinking, okay, I do whatever I can, and at the same time I have plan B, is that I would be ready to work if the application is not working out, and I would be ready to work. I also communicated this with my parents, and they say, good that you have plan B, and we will see.
Yeah, you had a very pragmatic view on things, and I'm listening to you. It seems like your family also had inculcated that you think very practically on your foot all the time with the resources you have and the factors that can influence the result. It's a very important quality to have for young individuals who are considering their options. Hats off to your parents it seems that you had that culture in that family, that practices, and your parents insisting on let's sit down, let's think about it, let's think it over from different directions.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, now I don't really rely on them, but back then that I would really discuss, because partly I need their support to support me financially, and partly I also don't want that cost to be so high. So I have like, look, I have this proposal, and I cross this out, and then these are the options, and then we reach to a middle ground that they would feel, oh, it's okay, it's bearable, because it's also the program that applies for 1 year, and they had in mind that I will come back, right? And it's just 1 year we can go through. So this is no problem. Everybody could walk together and go through. And I guess maybe unconsciously I also prepare them in a way that the burden is not that big. If they would think, oh no, in the US tuition this much, 2 years, 3 years, impossible, that we would never be able to do this. Then,
I see. This is very important that you are saying that you prepare them, in the sense that you also do not go to tell them that, see, this is the financial support I need. You are telling them also the whole scenario and your thought process in it. So you put a lot of effort and see, and even if it looks a lot for where I'm trying to go, it's a lot less compared to the other places, other similarly known world-class, top-class facilities, right? This is amazing. So then you go for masters outside China.
Yes.
Before we discuss that, could you please tell us, until that point, were there more role models or mentors or even family members who kind of led you to this situation where you had enough confidence in thinking that I can manage by myself in a whole different country with a whole different culture?
Yeah, I think that partly one is that I think my mother definitely played a very important role because she has this very blind confidence in us. I don't know whether every mother would do this, but somehow she has this very blind confidence that every time, since we were in school, and doesn't matter whether I was never the best student when I was in the school, but in the university I was, but in the school I was never, and there was always people in front of me, and I was even bad in the primary school and first year of middle school, which my teacher was super disappointed and asked and tell me, Ming is your sister, right? And say, yes. Wow, I couldn't imagine how a family could have such different kids. And I was like,
no.
Wow, what?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was really, really bad. But then I also communicate this very openly with my mother. And she would sometimes say that, why can't you be like your sister? And I just thought, I'm not her, and I am a loser, so it's okay. But then I guess that at one point she also felt that she may also need to change her way of communicating with me, and so that I would be more motivated. As far as I remember, then that she would always say, "No, you will do it for sure. You can make it, no doubt about that." So this type of saying embedded into the routine, that because we have lots of exams, monthly exam, middle term exam, final exam, we have lots of these exams, and also even in the high school there were lots of selection. We were very stressed because the first year in the high school we still study natural science, and we basically all 9 subjects, and from the second year of high school we divide into this track. Then we specialize in every year, from like, let's say, from the first year to the second year to the third year, there will be sorting. So we were always sorted, and it's really crazy that we were sorted into within our social science.
And with the sorting based on your marks?
Score, yes. Yes, there's always this sorting, and which we called class 0, and these would be, I think, from the school viewpoint, they have their own incentives. They want to produce as many students who will be able to go to good university as possible. How they could do this?
So they want to increase their percentage of success, basically.
Yes. Okay. Then the strategy is that let's sort out the very good ones and put them in a separate class.
I see.
And get the best teacher from our school to only catering for them. If all of them will be successful, we win. And then, except for this class, then the other ones are randomly allocated. Yeah.
See.
So this is very cruel, right? And every time we have this sorting, and it's really lots of pressure. But my mother has always said, "No, you can do it." So for each exams that I would talk to her, like, okay, I think that this time I could manage well, or the other time. So she always encouraged me afterwards. So this kind of mindset. I also improved. I got more motivated into study, not really because of I want to get the score, but I really interested in the subject. So that was, I guess, there was I don't know when was this moment, but somehow I found fun in studying, and of course the reward of getting high mark also make you flowery, right? And then other people want, "Oh, now can I have your notebook of A subject, B subject? You always take notes so carefully." And there's also joint cohort spirit, that your neighbor help you and you do so too. So it's a very
it's a combined effect in improving, like your mother boosting your confidence,
exactly,
to your classmates, that environment you got into,
exactly,
obviously feedback. If you do well, then you are motivated to do well again.
Exactly. So then I become better and better in this sequence.
But by then maybe you also saw your sisters getting successful in their career, and how the hard work is paying off for them as well.
I'm not so sure. I guess when I was in high school, I was so much into myself. I didn't even think about them. I always feel that actually when I was in high school, in the final year, my sister already started to work. She already graduated from the university and started to work as a teacher. And I thought, oh great, now you earn money. But then she's very far away from me, like working in a school.
Yeah, but that might work as a motivation also, that if you do it well, you can establish yourself and get financially independent by yourself. And the root, that seed of belief that your father had for you guys, you could successful. Maybe all this also became a little bit more evident for you. It's difficult to understand, obviously, looking back, what exactly was the thing. But so many things play a silent factor,
of course,
in changing your mindset. And this is all about, as you said, it's mindset change that happened for you. Thank you for sharing this inspiring story.
And you know what? Even till this point, that when I have, like, my paper was rejected, then I tell my mom, paper A was rejected. I don't think she has any idea about this paper. She's like, yeah, you will do well. Just send to another one. And maybe talk with colleagues, professors, and then you can send to another one. Something like this. So even at this point, that she was still encouraged, although that they're not really interested in what I am doing. And
but for you, it's important that she says
exactly
that you can do it.
Yeah.
So maybe now we can focus on your decision to go abroad, and you landed up in
Sweden.
in Sweden, Lund University. Before we go to what you studied there and what your thesis was about, whom did you work with, was there any cultural shock?
There was, and I still remember the feeling. It's very strange. I think we were, my mother and my aunt, and they sent us off. We were like maybe 10 girls plus a couple of guys. We didn't know each other before, but then we connected online through a forum that, we all go together into this university. We're from same cohort, but of course from different program. And everybody has lots of suitcase, right? We took this long flight, 8 hours, 9 hours, from Beijing to Copenhagen. We booked hotel in Copenhagen. In principle, we could go directly to Lund. We didn't even think about it because we thought that it's a long traveling and we would land it around 8 p.m. But we forgot that it will still be very bright. Somehow this was not
summer days.
Yeah, it was not reading our mind that that it will still be very bright. The days are very long. So when we landed in 8 p.m. and wow, so bright, it's very, very funny feeling. And we have lots of suitcase. Everybody helped each other to pull things. We went to this hotel, like a small hotel. It's this summer breeze. I mean, we arrived on 19th of August.
Wow, you still remember?
Yeah, I still remember. 19th of August we arrived, and this summer breeze was very pleasant. It's like, I think maybe a 25, 26 degree, perfect weather, little breeze, and Danish, we were a little bit outside, so it's like Danish, rural, you see these small houses with red brick, right? And everything just looks very pretty and very clean. People are very kind. So we were very happy. I was super happy. And I feel that, wow, finally I am so free. In a way, the free in a sense of so anonymized. Nobody knows me, only me, myself. And I don't care, like, because they don't know me. So they could not judge where you come from, what you wear, who you are. And nobody seems to be care of anything. And great, fantastic. This is the anonymity environment that I want, that I like.
People like you and me come from countries with lots of population, and people do not understand when we say that we feel anonymous. Here in Europe, I totally agree. I exactly know what you're talking about. Other people might have questions like, why there are so many people in China and India? You should have felt this before in your country. But it's a different kind of freedom.
It's also about this, I need to think about other people think of me, which
culturally,
this is something that I would not care here. Or back then in Copenhagen, and then later in Lund. So just feel great. Everything is new. I think this excitement is already much bigger than anything else that I would think, what about my study and so on and so forth. Although I had difficulty to adapt to the first few weeks. I think even the first 2 months, I was very behind my cohort in terms of understanding, because this is really then for real. We are going to learn English as such, communicating and also the content, and not necessarily, more basic daily conversation. And we need to go to deep material, read literature, which before I never read. I never read papers, let's say the academic papers in English. No, zero. I had zero exposure, and all the books that we read were all translated into Chinese, right? Of course, in the Bachelor, we had class of bilingual class, which you can forget about that. And it's more like bilingual on paper, but in reality, everybody then explained everything again in Chinese. So there were concepts that I need to think about. How does that sound in Chinese? Okay, now I know what they are talking. Otherwise, but then they already move on, and I am still slower.
So you're in a class that for the first time where English, the whole class is in English, the books are in English, you have to write in English, you have to think in English perhaps, but when you are thinking, your brain is still doing the translation.
Exactly.
And you are lagging behind. And you say that you took 2 months.
I think it's really like 2 months, because we have the Swedish semester is that one semester, I think, is from beginning of September till basically before Christmas. And there will be courses, but these courses are concentrated. So it's not like one course stretched from this from September to December, but no, one course is only 2 months. And within these 2 months, 8 weeks, we meet like 8 hours per week, then that's lots of material. And I didn't even imagine that me as a student, I need to read so much. I really could not keep up with the pace because I read slow, and then the teacher
Language is also English?
Yeah, language is in English, and we are not just have one class per week, we have multiple, and I always have the feeling that I'm lagging behind, which in the end, I also didn't really finish all the papers, so sometimes I was like, they are talking about this text, which I then select, right, what I read.
If you look back, what did you suggest yourself to do to prepare more, or with the information available now to you, how would you suggest somebody who would now like prepare to come to exactly to your university, to Sweden?
Start to read. Start to read. Not necessarily that you need to read speedily, but at least start to, upon you receiving the offer, let's say, if you could do this even earlier, that would be even better, right? That you are familiar with original literature, not the translated one. That would be the first, the best. But if you cannot, but you can already start to do some reading for very important academic papers, and books are less. We very much focus on
in the master's level.
Yeah, in
if
the
somebody
master's.
is coming to bachelor's level, they do have to read still books.
Yes, they still have to read books. Then, and there will be also this textbook, and you can basically follow. I would suggest that people already start. If you got an offer, don't wait. Don't wait. Don't sit back and say, now I can enjoy my few months of break. No, and you should start getting slowly into it, which can better help you to prepare. Otherwise, this like translating issue was really very problematic.
In India, we have both kind of students. There are two cases. One is English medium schools where everything is taught in English. Those students are obviously used to reading in English, writing in English. Speaking, I think still people use two languages while they are in among friends. Basically, local language plus English plus Hindi, whatever is preferable in that area. But people who are from regional language schools, they do have to, when they go to bachelor's, they face the same problem, because then we start everything in English. And I think we have the same problem that you have to start. Still, the classes are bilingual, but our reading and writing starts in English. If you think about it, for the first time, it's a hurdle. But as you're saying, you can prepare yourself much earlier just by reading texts of either journals or books.
Exactly.
And you have to get to habit of reading fast, as if it's your native language. To my experience, it's not a hurdle that cannot be overcome. It just takes a little bit of time.
Exactly.
And especially preparation is the key for everything. So this is why I wanted to ask you your opinion of preparation.
Totally. And better do it earlier, and at least get into the mode that, okay, I feel comfortable reading in English text. And it was for me was a bit difficult, but I think the first 2 months, the good thing is that we have one course which is called Applied Advanced Econometrics, which is more about you need to solve mathematics. So we have hands-on experience later with software, but then you also need to have these calculations. So I think that is easier in a way that there are not many terms that I need to pay attention. And then for others, for more context-specific courses, for these theories, then I was thinking, what is this theory? What are they actually talking about? Then I realized, they are looking at this concept, that concept. But as long as you notice what they are talking about, then you can better navigate the conversation.
In the master's, how does it work in economics? That you write a thesis at the end of your course, and you have to find a PI. Talk about your experience in choosing that, and what was your topic, and if you can give a glimpse of the questions that you were after back then.
Right. In our master program, that we have courses which we need to take exam, and courses we also need to write seminar. So my master thesis supervisor, I took the course where I need to write essays, like small essays. She's a very, very, how to say, I really love her.
Can you take her name?
Her name is Sonia Opper, and she was a professor in Lund University, but now she's in Bocconi. And very smart woman. And she's a German too. I think she is the person that, let's say, from academic wise or scholarly wise, has the deepest imprint. I don't know whether I could say imprint, but influence on me, how she thinks problems or how she approach problems, and I really like her. Her course is very challenging. Like in the exams, then in Sweden, writing exam takes 5 hours. So you can write for 5 hours. You can bring your food inside. Obviously, you don't need to spend 5 hours, but they just say want to give you, let's say, as much time as possible that you will necessarily need, so you don't have excuse that I was in a hurry, and people even take a nap in between. So that was for the exam. But for seminar papers and her course, we need to write 3 term papers, which in the end will be the grades together. I see my improvement in her seminar. Like we got first assignment, you need to write, I don't know, 5 pages of whatever topic. And I still remember that I think I probably the score is between 1 to 10 points. The first one I got is 6 points. I was shocked, so bad. It's like, oof, barely pass. I got 6 points. Then the second one, I got like 7.5. I was a little bit happier. And then the third one that I got either 8.5 or something. But in the end, the overall course summary, because there is also attendance, whatever, right? So in the end, we get 1 score, which is A+. And I was super happy. That's great. So I like her, and she's very strict.
What was in her training that helped you to jump from 6 to 8.5?
I think clarity, that you need to make your point very clear, that what you are looking at. And also in a way that put your research question very clear, and why this is important, why you want to address this particular question, why anyone else has not addressed this question, and does it make sense to look into these cases or not, how you are going to measure the construct that you are interested in, which would be the potential data source. So this, like, I think the clarity that you really have to think through, and this is something that
Logical thinking.
Exactly. That I learned a lot from her. Although I really like her writing style, I think this is something that sometimes I use her paper as my role model to see how she writes, and then look at my own. She has her own style. Sometimes even if I am blind, if her name is not there, and when I read some papers, I would think, oh, this must be from her. So she has her own way of writing.
And that is unique in the field.
I think so.
I see.
And her husband too.
Wow.
So very.
This is inspiring. Maybe you can have show me some link where we can put some link for the listeners to see, who are interested in economics, to see the style of writing and learn from it.
And back then, when I was a student, she just published her book. She had a sabbatical like 1 year earlier, and then write up her book. Also, the way how she conduct research, it's this type of rigor that makes me think that I should follow the standard. She has a co-author who is a sociologist, and so basically it's an econ and the economic sociology coalition, and they try to understand how private enterprise can be developed in China, because very often the standard theory would be that it's the government, right? There are industrial policies, state, Asia capitalism is from the above. The government have a very strong intervention, try to create
the
infrastructural rules, whatever, intellectual property rights, and so on and so forth. It's steering from the government. And what they look into is that capitalism from below. It's the bottom up, how individual entrepreneurs navigate through this, because even though that there is formal institution, let's say the law is there, but nobody really take it seriously, then it's also not really working. So how these private entrepreneurs have to navigate this very strong uncertainty and very unfair treatment in comparison to the state-owned enterprises, because obviously state-owned enterprise, they could secure finance from the bank, which private company could not, and
not at that level, at least.
Exactly. And how could they be able to pull together, and how do these private enterprise thrive? And then they did very long-term ground work, field work in Yangtze Delta region. I think the earlier time was from 2004 to 2006 that they started to look into this area. And
where is it? I don't know.
it's Yangtze Delta region is, you can imagine Shanghai as a heart.
Okay.
And it's the surrounding area.
Oh, I see.
So the river like flow in the end over Shanghai and to the sea is Yangtze River. So that's the delta area. And they look into seven cities, and these are the cities like representative sort of for the region. They try to look into different industries, mostly automotive, vehicle parts, and manufacturing. So these are the industries that they develop, and field work with entrepreneurs, which by the way, very hard because people have no time for you. I am doing my business. I need to feed, I don't know how many employees, and I don't have time talking to you. So they are very good at getting access to these people.
Yeah, I have a question here. This professor you're talking about, like their area of study geographically is China, but do they speak Chinese, or how do they conduct the surveys or experiments?
Both of them, they are fluent in Chinese.
I see.
Yeah.
And did you know that before joining them?
I don't.
I see.
Yeah.
But you knew while you were choosing the prospective guide.
Exactly.
While talking to them that this is a common interest that can lead to something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was, in a way, that part of the course material from her course was the book chapters from her book. Initially, I was, I don't think that these kind of books, let's say textbook or whatever book, would not be so interesting, but they really, because it's sort of a summary of more than 10 years of research that they have been conducting. So they really know a lot of what's going on, and they follow these enterprises through over time. So by the time when they publish the book, they already have 3 waves. So first you have these interviews with, I don't know, 100 enterprises, then you already know sort of what's going on, and then you look into their governance structure, their financial structure, or how they deal with regulatory authority, and how they think about competition, of whether they would like to export elsewhere. So all these market constraints that they speak for, and then follow these enterprises. That was the 3rd wave that they conduct. And I was like, this is also a unique data set. Nobody has this rich information in comparison to them. So they built up this setting. And the 4th wave was there too. So now it's there. And I also happy to assist them in conducting the 4th wave that they did.
So did you contribute afterwards or during your master's itself?
During my master's, no. But when I was a PhD student, actually that was she recommended me to go to Germany for the PhD, and later on we still stay in contact, right? And I am native Chinese, and she asked that whether I would be willing to help her to the survey, but at least for the training for the numerators, because they have a team of professional numerators who's usually doing whatever other kinds of surveys, but we are very trained, and we had 2 days of training, and then plus probes like sampling of 1 or 2 on spot, and then they do 10 in each city as an initial testing round. So every time that we train these numerators, and as a native speaker, although they are also fluent, but somehow
the trust element,
and still plays a role, and so I help them.
So that you are a very important collaborator of them right now, who is bringing the trust to the people who are getting surveyed. You are playing a key role in the whole study.
I am not so sure whether I played a key role, but I take it as an opportunity to really have a very close observation on how they do things, because they sent me the survey questionnaire, what they want to ask, and I also got to know, like, in case numerator have questions and how they respond. So to clarify certain things that I might misunderstood, and also in the design process. So what would be their standard? No, this is the protocol, and we should go for this way and that. I take it as a unique opportunity that suppose in the future that I want to run a study, what would be my gold standard? And I take this as a role model. I am super happy that she asked me, and I think that this is great opportunity that not very often that you get asked.
So you had a very important and a very enriching experience working with your PI during masters, which you are still continuing.
Yes.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 of our conversation with remarkable Professor Nazha. What an incredible start to her journey. It's truly inspiring to see how she has navigated her early academic decisions, strategically overcoming the constraints and leveraging the family support to get a strong foundation. A pragmatic approach, even from a very young age, offers so many takeaways for shaping a career path. But trust me, her story only gets more fascinating. In part 2, we'll delve deep into her PhD experience, her postdoctoral days, and the pivotal choices that had led to her current influential role at the University of Bath. Be sure to tune in for part 2 of our conversation with Professor Nazha in the next episode. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.